Hello, welcome back to another episode of SnowPiercer Season 4, Episode 1, Snakes in the Garden, Recap and Review. Snakes are in the garden. The first episode of SnowPiercer Season 4 begins with Bess and Ben riding snowmobiles and discovering some sort of metallic wreckage on the ground. It appears to be a satellite, but SnowPiercer doesn't respond to radio calls. Unfortunately, it turned out to be an ambush. The duo attempts to flee, but before we learn their fate, we cut to Layton. Our latest videos. We're 9 months after SnowPiercer and Big Alice parted ways, and this new beginning sees survivors outside Big Alice starting over. Of course, it's been difficult for this small group to grow food and create power, let alone connect with SnowPiercer, but they remain optimistic that this will be the best path ahead in this new world. Javier addresses the gathering outside, explaining that they have about a week until the SnowPiercer reaches radio range. Because the weather is unpredictable, their signal suffers. Ruth is still here, and she is a council chair member. She's an influential member of this community, yet she exacerbates the problems they're now facing in the cafeteria. Layton is optimistic, however. The problem is that many individuals are groaning and revolting against the idea of their supposed paradise. Given the weather and the slew of issues they face, it's evident that not everyone agrees with their current intentions. One of those is a Swiler, who gets into a fight with Boki as they're trying to fix the bridge. Oz has troubles. He drinks and appears to be becoming increasingly unstable as the days pass. In reality, Oz is hearing voices, which is not surprising given that he is alone in a tent high in the mountains, far from the settlement. Alex is absent from the council meeting, but the gang drinks and plays cards to relax. Alex is dealing with a nosebleed while also checking seismic data on a neighboring rail carriage, further away from the main sanctuary. Unfortunately, everything goes wrong when the generator shuts off. Javi goes out to fix it, but it appears to have been purposely sabotaged. In the dark of night, he hears rocks moving, as if whomever is out there is attempting to remain hidden. Anyway, fast forward a day, and Javi is able to listen to what appears to be SnowPiercer over the radio. There's barely a bit of static, but it's enough to give Javi hope. Given that Josie went out to check on the relay earlier in the episode, he believes it's time for them to connect with the other train. When Alex arrives, she dismisses his advice and continues to focus on her task. SnowPiercer is supposedly 6 or 7 hours away, so they must not only organize the relay, but also complete work on the bridge. When Layton checks on the workers by the bridge, he discovers that neither Oz nor Boki have arrived for work. It appears that Boki was in the engine room earlier, as eyewitnesses indicate that he left with a large crate of items. Josie, of course, is completely unaware of any of this drama until she arrives at the relay and discovers that everything is in bits. She returns bits of the wreckage to the group, and Layton says the silent part aloud. This appears to be sabotage. With dissent growing in town, it's understandable that some people would vent their anger. Layton chats with Ruth in confidence and believes this is related to SnowPiercer's return. Resentment is a powerful thing, Ruth says, noting that their entire community and the concept of sacrifice may not sit well with everyone in town. She understands how they feel, having worked hard to build what they have, only to have it torn away. It reminds her of her own journey from working in luxury on board the SnowPiercer to now leading the rebellion groups. Layton obviously does not regret his decision here, as it allows him to spend more time with his daughter, Liana, but it is a great burden to bear on Ruth's shoulders given what is happening right now. Layton goes up to see Alex and checks on her. It turns out that she sent Boki to the brink to collect seismographic and geological data. In other words, to monitor for earthquakes. The community has recently experienced tiny earthquakes, yet something here doesn't make sense to her. Boki leads Alex's pet bird, Mr. Sprinkles, to the edge and releases it. However, Josie hears an alarming sound while up there and rushes back down the mountain. When Layton returns to town, he discovers a frightening parcel sent to him and the others via track scaler. It's Audrey. She's in a bad mood and merely says they're coming before passing out. Zara heads up the mountain to check on Oz. He insists he is not insane, but he has been hearing LJ's voice in the wind, and it is driving him insane. Zara gets cold feet and goes back to the group, but it's unclear whether Oz is speaking the truth, and hearing a female voice. Ruth returns to the town hall to speak about what has happened. She thanked everyone for their assistance in finishing the trestle bridge and went on to discuss their concerns. However, everything changes when Leighton appears with Audrey. However, halfway through working on her, the power goes out. Leighton realizes that a community member is responsible for the current situation. Unfortunately, it turns out that Dr. Hedwood is a member of the revolt. We find out just as Josie returns and informs Leighton that she did not observe a track scaler. She spotted a snowcat. They don't have one of these, and neither does SnowPiercer. As a result, there appears to be a distinct rebel group out there. They arrive too late, and Leighton discovers Roach has been knocked out by Dr. Hedwood and a weird trooper dressed like a Warhammer 40K Marine. The same gang we saw earlier, wearing rat emblems on their helmets, ambushed Bess and Benjamin. Zara runs into them on the mountain, but we don't see what happened. Josie arrives and discovers Zara on the ground, blood spattered and in a rough state. It appears that she was flung from the mountain and landed hard on her back. She mentions Liana's disappearance and the identity of the perpetrators, but she dies. Zara is brought back into town just as Leighton prepares to leave with volunteers to search the hills. With Liana gone, it appears that the old Leighton is needed to fight back here. As the show concludes, we flash back to witness glimpses of what happened to Bess and Ben earlier in the episode. They were carried back to SnowPiercer, where the leader appeared to be Admiral Anton Milius. He claims to be a member of the International Peacekeeping Forces, and they demand to be taken to Mel. The episode review. So, at the end of this episode, we learn that there are more survivors out there, and SnowPiercer is following in the footsteps of The Walking Dead. We're dealing with another major threat, as well as a new community that has been upended and undermined. The plot works nicely to keep things moving for the most part. However, it would have been wonderful to see more of the SnowPiercer train and what's been going on with these individuals. However, by the conclusion, it's clear why, given that a new group has boarded the train and appears to have taken charge.